everyone, this is Priya Patra, the Vice President Outreach of PMI Mumbai Chapter, and we are back again. PMI Chapter Exchange Season 3, Event 7. And let me share my screen and introduce the panelist, the host of the day today. And here it is. So today we are going to talk about building project resilient capabilities. And the icon that the logo that you see up there, that is Pmi Cameroon Chapter. And they are the spotlight chapter of the month today. And just to introduce the host of the day, that's myself. And along with me, I also have Damike Mendes, who is our chapter leader from Sri Lanka chapter. Damike.
Hi, everyone. This is Dhammika from Sri Lanka chapter. So welcome to PMI Chapter Exchange Season 3, Event 6. Today we discuss building project resilient capabilities. And today we have PMI friends joining in from 23 different PMI chapters from across the globe, North America, Latin America, Europe, Africa, and Asia.
Yes, and we do also have Robert, our chapter leader from Zimbabwe chapter.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are joining us. And welcome to this Season 3 session this month with our spotlight coming in from Africa. And this is a 23-way collaborative exchange amongst chapters across the globe, and wishing you all the best in the discussions.
Thank you, Robert. And we also have Submissive, our chapter leader from Cameroon chapter, the spotlight chapter of the month. Submissive, are you there? Okay. I don't see him. So over to you, Damike.
Thanks, Priya. So please say hello to each other and continue networking while we get started. Today, we are excited to announce we have 1,000+ registrations from across the globe, 64 countries to be precise, from Alaska to New Zealand and all countries and continents in between. So thank you, everyone, for this warm response to this initiative. So let us know where you are joining from. Go to the link that you received by chat, that is www.menti.com, and use the code 84764698. So the meeting is being recorded. If you are uncomfortable in any ways, you may choose not to attend, else you are welcome to continue. Everyone here in this event are speaking on our individual capacity. Our views do not represent our organization's views in any way. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our guest speaker of the day, Ahmad Al-Muhabri. So Ahmad is Global Chapter Engagement Manager with PMI. Let me introduce Ahmad. So Ahmad's professional expertise lies across community development, airline and client service, and project management. He possesses all the skills that I think we would need to be resilient, proactive, diligent, and resourceful and adaptable, right? So talking about resiliency, we would like to hand over the stage to Ahmad to know how PMI helping our chapters to be more resilient. Ahmad, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, based on who you are. Thank you for having me here today. Thank you for the Xchange chapters, for the host chapter, and everyone. It's a great opportunity to have a great session with all of you. So yes, my name is Ahmed Al-Mughrabi. I'm based in Dubai. I'm currently the Global Chapter Engagement Manager for PMI, Project Management Institute. I will be speaking to you today about building resiliency with PMI chapters. So the 10 minutes, and so I'm going to focus on PMI chapters and the chapter empowerment program, which I'm going to explain about this program in further details, which is part of the overall PMI strategy. We call it here PMI Impact Strategy, and how to prepare our chapters, our communities, and chapter members when disruption is going to be the new normal. So first, introducing the PMI Impact Strategy. The PMI Impact Strategy can be summarized in 3 key strategic objectives. These 3 key strategic objectives are simple to understand, but also influential directors for the entire PMI community. The first strategic objective is broadening our reach. What we mean about broadening our reach is empowering the PMI community to share our collective wealth knowledge with the new people who need it. Second key strategic objectives is deepening our impact. And here we're talking about the profound impact on people's lives and empower them to make their ideas a reality. The third key strategic objective under the PMI Impact Strategy is nurturing long-lasting relationships. I think this is a great opportunity that we are here because we know that our community and chapters have an incredible community and building trust and relationship at the individual and organizational level. So now if you want to pause here after we introducing the PMI Impact Strategy, the question or the big question is, what are the ways that can support the PMI community and chapters in these 3 key strategic objectives, which is broadening our reach, deepening our impacts, and finally nurturing long-lasting relationship. So in 2019, we began actually planning the strategy with a lot of listening from our chapter members, chapter volunteers, and chapter leaders. The PMI strategy team conducted many working sessions and interviews with stakeholders across the globe. Also, we have done completed interviews in person at 2022 LIMS via Ready, Willing, and Able surveys. So on a whole, after that research, what was shared were fair criticism and many ideas and concerns that we can address together. But also what brought to our attention that we're talking about resiliency today is that the outstanding commitment of our chapter leaders and chapter volunteers who are hosting, for example, such webinar is still there. And our chapters have had to be enormously resilient in the face of the pandemic and all of the challenges and changes it has created. Here, after the research phase, we designed the chapter empowerment program for addressing all the chapter challenges to adapt to the new ways of working and also to be in a better position to serve the PMI communities. So the question is, what is the chapter empowerment program and what is the success metrics going forward? So the chapter empowerment program is a collection of work streams with the program manager, business owner at PMI, and with several teams working together to enhance the chapter service to their communities and their members. To measure the success for this chapter empowerment program, we will be measuring metrics like chapter member satisfaction, volunteer and chapter leader satisfaction, and ultimately the chapter membership growth. Under the chapter empowerment program, based on the research on how making chapters respond or build resiliency with their communities, we have came up with 3 key components: connect, enable, and empower. So to give you more insights about each one of these key components, speaking about connect, here we're talking about how help our chapters to make them feel more deeply connected with their fellow chapters and also PMI to work together shaping our future. Enable our communities and our leaders with the right tools, resources, and technology to serve the chapter members better in the future, and specifically after the pandemic or during the pandemic and going forward. Last key components is empower. And here we mean empower our chapters to grow their community and impact their membership, their members. So to give more insight about these 3 key components, connect, enable, and empower, I'll give you a couple of examples as well. When it comes to the connect, we have already formed the chapter empowerment feedback panel. So we reach out to the entire chapter leaders. We have almost 4,000 plus chapter leaders, and we formed the chapter leaders committee panel, they are almost 27 chapter leaders from different regions, languages, speak different languages, and they will help us to sense and respond to all the chapter empowerment program work streams going forward. Also under Connect, we have already launched the culture workshops with our chapter leaders to ensure that diverse voices across the PMI community, all of us here, are incorporated into our collective cultural journey. When you speak about enable, and here we mean enabling our chapters community with the right technology, we launched a new program, virtual program, where we help our chapters with the right capabilities to host virtual and hybrid events to their members. And also we have replaced, or we are under the progress to replace 2 key systems for our chapter leaders, one in volunteer recruitment to reach to a wider audience, and also to replace the data system which we have in order for our chapter leaders to know their audience and customize their offering and serve them better. Under empowerment, it brought to our attention through the research phase that most of our chapter leaders are looking into leadership and power skills training to be exclusive for the volunteers. So we have last month partnered with the third-party institute training to offer a free leadership training exclusive for our chapter leaders to enhance their professional development and adapt to the new ways of working. So if you want, I want to summarize what I have mentioned so far. We spoke about the Pmi Impact Strategy, the 3 key strategic objectives, and how we designed the chapter empowerment program. And that chapter empowerment program are focusing on the key elements: connect, enable, and empower. And this is going to be part of the transformational program that will continue and evolve over years to help and enable our chapters on how to stay relevant and serve the chapter members on this evolving world. Now, finally, I would say we are building the chapter empowerment program together with our chapter leaders and volunteers, and we encourage you for any feedback as we work to make the next generation of the PMI volunteer experience as a reality. Thank you for listening and giving me this opportunity to talk about what we are doing in PMI. I will be available throughout the session to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. And we really like the fact that PMI has collaborated with the chapter leaders. Actually, we have had workshops, we brainstormed for the next generation of PMI. And it resonates with what this initiative is also about. It's about connecting, collaborating, and co-creating. And with that, thank you very much, and a big round of applause for Ahmed for this wonderful speech about chapter empowerment program. And with this, I will share my screen and walk you through what chapter exchange is all about. And I know that, we talk about it in every event, but today we'll keep it very short. And this is what this platform is all about. There are 23 chapters on this platform today, and we have three supporting chapters. And we are very, very proud to say that we have chapters from all the regions that PMI operates today, like 16 regions that are there. And consciously, we have onboarded chapters from every region because our vision is to evangelize cross-chapter collaboration and to encourage cultural diversity. And what are we gaining in turn? We are improving our cultural quotient, our cultural intelligence. We are also learning how to build a global, diverse, virtual team. Trust me, we haven't met each other. And after 3 years, only in April that I met Damike, but I've never met any one of these people who are there working with us together as a team. So it can work even if you don't meet people. If you have a solid goal and a vision, and if we can add value, it can definitely work. And you will also notice that there are chapters from diverse backgrounds participating in this program, because we believe that diverse connections can lead to innovative solutions. And with this, I will move on to introduce our spotlight chapter of the month. And that is the beautiful Cameroon here. And these pictures, are from Cameroon, and I got this from Submissive. And beautiful country, as Frank already told us. Definitely, I hope the next global summit will be in Africa and Cameroon, so we can visit Cameroon. And here is the more beautiful or charming president of Pmi Cameroon Chapter, Clotilde. I hope I am pronouncing your name right. And she's an
Yes.
Okay, thank you. She's an experienced senior project manager with demonstrated history of working in telecommunications industry, strong program and project management professionals, skills in service delivery and stakeholder management. All skills that are required to be an effective and efficient project manager. Uh, Clotilde, before I hand over the stage to you, I have two questions for you. We see the logo of the Pmi Cameroon chapter there. What does the fourth quadrant in that logo represent?
Okay. Thank you, Priya, and welcome everyone. Oh, on our logo, it's a monument, a reunification monument, because in Cameroon we have two official languages, French and English. So when the two parts of Cameroon come together, then we choose to have this monument as a, let's say, a symbol of this reunification. That's why we choose this picture on our logo.
Okay, thank you, Clotilde. And there is another very interesting question. What is the time at your side of the world now?
Okay, now it is 3 p.m. Okay, and the weather is not bad, but it's still summer. We are during the raining season, so it's cool for us.
Great. And it is 7:30 p.m. India. evening, Friday evening for us. And I'm sure for many people it is early morning. For you, that is 6:30 a.m., I think. And I think we have people who have joined in from across the globe. They must be either in morning, afternoon, evening, or middle of the night. So, Clotilde, over to you to introduce us to your chapter, the Pmi Cameroon chapter.
Okay, so before presenting the chapter, let's talk about Cameroon. Cameroon is located in Central Africa. Our capital is Yaoundé. We have more than 250 Cameroonian languages, and the population is more than 26 million. Cameroon is well known for its culture. You probably know about what Waka Waka, the song from Shakira. The original version is from Cameroon. You know Makossa from Michael Jackson and Rihanna. It's also from Cameroon. Cameroon is also well known for its agriculture. Okay, I'm sure you. Hello, can you get me? Are you getting me?
Clotilde, we are not able to see you. Your video is off. So if you can switch it on. Or switch off
Okay.
and switch it on. Yeah.
Yes. Now I
Yeah,
think
now it's good. Yeah.
Thank you. So Cameroon, I'm sure you did never taste white honey. You will have white honey in Cameroon. Cameroon is also called Africa in miniature because of our geological, linguistic, cultural, and human diversity. So yes, I can confirm what Frank Gerard said. Cameroon is a very, very good place. In Cameroon, you will visit monuments, you will visit reserves, museum. There are so many places in Cameroon to visit. Now let's talk about Pmi Cameroon chapter. Pmi Cameroon was created in 2014. The board is, we have our board is conducted by me, the president, and I have 7 vice presidents. Our vision is to positively impact the socio-economic environment in our country. Now, our community is, we have 80% of our members who reside in Cameroon and 20% who are from diaspora. Pmi launched a pilot. So if you would like to join Pmi Cameroon chapter, is the right moment. Instead of paying $129 for the moment, if you are located in Cameroon, to join Pmi, you will pay $90 only. So we are open and we will be happy to welcome you as a new member in our community. Thanks so much, Priya, and let's have a good session today.
Thank you very much. And over to you, Damike, again to introduce the panel, the moderator of the day.
Okay, thanks, Priya. So let me introduce you our session moderator today, Yuda. So Yuda Prathama is an enterprise agile coach at Realty.com. He has an MBA and holds current certifications as Project Management Professional, PMP, PMI Agile Certified Practitioner, PMI ACP, then Program Consultant, SPC5, SAFE, ITIL V3 Foundation in IT Services Management, Certified Scrum Master, and Certified Change Agent, and an expired Cisco Certified Network Associate, CCNA. So he fancies himself as one of a techie who took the wrong turn to the profession of project management. So he is the author of Building Agile Team, One Parable at a Time, and Enable in Words, and Agile Adoption 101. So he co-authored this with his PJ M6195 student, and his books are available at Amazon.com. So outside of a full-time work, Yuda is an adjunct faculty, Northeastern University, Seattle. So campus teaching traditional project management courses, as well as some advanced agile courses. A member of Agile and DevOps coaching, teaching and certification organization, IBC Consultants. So it's a safe gold partner. So he enjoys photography, traveling, hiking, and reading. So with this, I hand over the session to Yuda. Over to you, Yuda.
Right, thank you, Damike, and thank you for the introduction. I apologize for this long introduction of those crazy certification. So let me tell you a little bit about it. It started as a joke. My name, if fully spelled out, is really, really long. Yudhishthira Pratama. And so I was like, okay, maybe I got a 1 or 2 certification. I said, could I get all the acronyms to be longer than my real name? So then I start taking the certification. And it turned out that I almost kind of get addicted to it. So like every year I get 1 certification. And after a while, it got so long, I said, okay, I better stop because it is now really longer than my name. But you know, I just go by Yuda or Yoda, little green guy. So welcome everyone. You know, wherever you are, I hope you are having a great day. As Damike mentioned, I'm Yuda or Yoda. I am the current president of the Puget Sound chapter in Seattle. As you can see, this is a truly global endeavor, right? We're here today. We have people from all over the world, participated by people all over the world. The panelists and everybody that you see here are from all over the world. And this is as diverse as it can be. And as Ahmad mentioned earlier, that you know, PMI is truly a global organization and is doing endeavor to make sure that everybody in this global organization are fully engaged with each other. And one of the PMI impact strategy is nurturing a long-lasting impact. Long-lasting, I translate long-lasting to resilient. So today we'll talk about resiliency. How do we build projects that are resilient? And for us to talk about this, you know, we have panelists from Cameroon, from USA, from Brazil, and from India, and we'll talk about it. So let's get started. And I'll start by introducing Frank from Cameroon. So Frank, would you like to please introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, Yuda. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Yes, it's difficult to be introduced after someone who has more certification than the length of his name, Yuda. So my name is Frank Jaracom. I'm one of the co-founder of the Pmi Cameroon Chapter back in the days. Also, I always remind that I participated the first PMI exam in Cameroon in the early days, the first PMI conference in Africa with Ahmad. And I mean, I'm really in the PMI environment since the start in Africa. Passionate about project management, even if today my function are mostly on the business side as general manager in the telecom sector in the biggest telco operator in Africa, MTN. So I'm really glad to be here today and to participate to this as a member of the Pmi Cameroon chapter, and I'm sure we will have very interesting discussion on the resilience, especially representing the voice of Africa, where, you know, it's really a tough environment where we live resilience every day. Thanks, Yuda.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. And thank you for the great introduction. And let's go to our very own Santa Claus in the house, Dave. Dave, go ahead, and I see that you are maybe on mute.
Thank you, Yoda. I didn't want you to hear the reindeer in the background. I gotta admit, I think I beat you on certifications. I actually was PMP certified last century, 1998, back when it was 8 different sections. We had to chisel in X's and check marks on stone tablets and mail them in. But I also have PGMP, ACP, BA, a couple different discipline agile certifications. I'm a SAFE LCM, I'm a CSM, I'm a Six Sigma black belt. And there's more, but I'll stop there. Firm believer in continuous learning. I think that's probably the most important power skill. I heard that term earlier. I hate the term, but I heard it earlier, that you can possess is continuous learning, and just like this, learning from each other. So I'm really excited that you invited me to this, because I really enjoy discussions of how we are project managers, not necessarily the technical triangle piece, but the people piece, how we interact with each other and learn from each other. So I'm proud to be a part of such a professional group and looking forward to the discussions. And
All right, thank you very much. And next, let's go to Reynaldo. Reynaldo, would you like to introduce yourself to all of us?
First of all, greetings from São Paulo, Brazil. My name is Reynaldo Pereira. I'm an engineer, postgraduated in business administration. I have prepared myself to be a PMP professional, but unfortunately, due to the work duties, I had lost all the chances to apply my knowledge in PMI. So this resilience is our matter is also an issue that is my favorite issue, and I will try to be helpful to our event this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Reynaldo, and I'm sure you will be, because having all this diverse point of view is really great for project managers. And so now, last but not least, Chirag. Chirag is the man.
Thank you.
Okay.
And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm based in India. My name is Chirag Jaber. I bring about close to 35 years of the experience with management consulting and IT. That has provided me the opportunity for not only the project management, but the people management, which is very important. And therefore, I guess the profile is more suitable for talking about today's subject as to how do you become resilient and how do you plan for resiliency. Over to you, Yuda. Look forward to a fruitful discussion.
All right, thank you very much. So again, welcome everybody. So today we'll talk about building project and resilient capabilities. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat as we are talking, as we are discussing, and we'll keep looking at the questions, and then we'll bring the question to the panelists. Now let's get started with setting up the foundation. So what exactly is resiliency, and how can project management become more resilient? Who would like to take this on?
Go
ahead.
All right. See, in my view, resiliency is to be able to continue functioning in near usual way of working, even under the business ecosystem disturbances that one encounters, to demonstrate the capacity and one's ability to bounce back after that experience of hardship is resilience. And that is why the approach of it's okay to be not to be okay, that should work and continue effort to become resilient in terms of learning, unlearning, and becoming suitable, adaptable for the change that is coming up. So therefore, in my view, I would say to keep going when the going gets tougher means resiliency.
Ah, thank you. So when the going gets tough, the tough get going, right? Yeah, thank you very much. Anyone else? Dave, Frank, Ronaldo?
So, as a director of a engineering construction company, I was born in in extreme conditions, mainly here in Brazil, because we are a big country and we have all the four seasons very, very clear. And also I have worked in all industry segments like paper and pulp, oil and gas, offshore and nearshore works, and it's very, very important because my career, I had to perform contracts like EPC and turnkey contracts, and that means that if you're not resilient, we cannot perform this kind of work. And for this, it's a pleasure for me to stay here and try to share my experience with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let me throw the next one to Dave. Now, Dave, we talked about our certification when it's super long, and of course, to some it may sound like, hey, are we bragging about what we do know, right? However, you mentioned something really, really crucial about this is a continuous learning. So tell us, Dave, how is continuous learning related to resiliency, or is there anything like that?
I think they're very strongly related. My definition of resiliency is really keep going at it, keep going at it. It's almost persistence as well as resiliency, but bouncing back from problems and some of that stuff. I mentioned I have several certifications. I'm not 100% pass rate the first time on all these certifications. There's some of them, and there's some when I pressed that button, I had no idea what was coming back, whether I passed it or failed it miserably. So resiliency to me is keep going at sometimes that same problem over and over again. And there's the mindset too. Sometimes resiliency can attack your perspective. It can challenge your individual confidence. It can challenge, is this person a friend or an enemy almost? I probably should use the term advocate. Or advocate or resistor. It's probably a better term. But the human level there, and it's really the human level that we're fighting more so than a quote problem unquote. It just is. They seemed a lot of times the same problem resonates with the same person. So resiliency though is keeping at it, making sure that we're delivering the value, or whatever, but also being willing to adjust ourselves in order to meet it. Maybe we're pressing, but maybe it's not worth it, or maybe, believe it or not, we could be wrong. So it's that acceptance of ourselves which helps us to be able to tackle resiliency and keep focused. Is a question I often ask myself: is it worth it? Is doing this worth it or not? And if it's not, I'm not going to spend a lot of energy frustrating myself. So it's kind of that mental approach and growing, continuous learning with that. And more often than not in my career, people that started out as advocates ended up being strong allies and good friends for my life.
All right, thank you very much. And well, let's go to Frank. And Frank, this is a totally different new question from our audience. So do you think if the pandemic has improved our resiliency?
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic has challenged, I will use the word challenge, the resiliency. It's not the term resiliency that has discovered or create resiliency. You know, resiliency exists before the pandemic. Some organizations, some systems, people, projects were already resilient, even if they were not calling it resilience. In Africa, for example, it's only these past years, these past 5 years, where you keep hearing, where we start hearing in the news, the government talking about how the economies are trying to be resilient. I'm not sure if you go before 5 years here, you will have heard it anywhere. So I think the pandemic has accelerated and has brought to the attention, has put on the spot the need to be one part of it is to be agile, but the other part, which is also coming, is being resilient. So yes, the pandemic has stressed everything, the organization, the businesses, the projects, everything was, I mean, what do you do? Will you survive? You don't know. I mean, we were in front of uncertainty all over the world. I think it was the same thing. And we saw every system, organization, projects, programs, everything trying to cope with it. And everybody learned on the spot. So yes, it challenged. We even saw, I think, courses, training, certification, topics around resiliency coming out more during these past 2-3 years. So it's really, yes, I think the pandemic accelerated, but I will see it from the side of an opportunity. It actually it was an opportunity for organization, for projects, for people, for project managers to be more conscious of how they should build resiliency skills or put it or build it in their project when they start. So yes, Yuda.
Thank you very much. And just a quick follow-up, and then I'll go back to the question in the audience. You mentioned agile. So what kind of roles does agility play in building resiliency?
Yes, if I may, you might, when you see everyone, especially these times, we hear a lot about both agility, resiliency, because you are faced with uncertainty. Especially in organization, we are taught, okay, you need to be agile, you need to transform, you need to go fast because there is this pandemic now, there is this international crisis, supply chain crisis, worldwide crisis. You need to be agile and everything. But agility means, okay, you have to go fast, you have to deliver results fast, you need to change, you need to adapt quickly, and you need maybe to transform or to change the whole project or redo everything. Resiliency, there is a matter of the time, the speed or the pressure to get the result sooner is not as important as when you run in agility, or you have to deploy agility in your project or your organization or so. Resiliency goes on all the aspect of your organization or your project. It talks to people. You heard Dave talking about how, as a project manager, you have to develop some skills. I mean, you have to, it's a mindset even shift, so it can give you, I found agility like being operationally, you have to be able to do some things, even if you can build that in the organization. But the resiliency really cuts across. You cannot just keep it on an operational level. It really cuts across every aspect of either the organization or the project or the processes.
And I'd like to throw in,
yeah, go ahead.
Ken, I'd like to throw in just a little addendum to that. Thank you. I mean, I think you paraphrased what I said perfectly. But the other thing with resiliency has to do with things that just carry on and carry on. You just can't drop them, but you need to be, again, I mentioned before, with persistency. So resiliency is also involved finishing the job. You may be 98% done, and that last 2% may take a lot of time, but being resilient means I get that done. And when you are done with that, there's a sense of satisfaction, and also, again, a learning on how to maybe do it better the next time. So resiliency, as you mentioned, intersects with all these different things. It's our mindset of how we keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. Okay, a bad thing happened. It's not going to stop me. I'm going to go back and try again. And, you know, the folklore tale has been out there for years about the king that was in a prison or whatever and saw a spider trying to make a web, and the spider kept trying and trying and trying. And after 10 times, the spider finally was able to succeed at doing it. That's resiliency. You know, it's like keep trying and trying and trying. Fail, try again. Fail, try again. And then it should say fail, learn something, try again. Fail, learn something, adapt, try again. So critical
Wow.
skill, again, critical power skill for not just project managers, but that's what you should be coaching your whole teams to do, your whole environment.
Great story, Dave. Actually, I learned about that story when I was really, really young. And at least from the version that I heard, it was actually the founder of the Ming Dynasty. You know, but there has been a lot of different stories about that one, but the version that I had was that. So
yeah,
so thank you
it's been lots of people. I even heard it from Bullwinkle to Moose. So
yeah. All right. So now we have another. Oh, by the way, there's an audience that mentioned something awesome about having an AQ, adaptability quotient. So the higher AQ we have, you know, the more we become resilient. So thank you, Mainak, for pointing that one out, because that is awesome. I think I'm going to write that one down and put a sticky on my wall, because, you know, I like this new term and awesome term. So let's move on to another question from the audience, and let's this one. How about you, Chirag? It's been a while. So how can we become more resilient as project managers?
So, you know, what I may look at is I would prepare myself with a readiness to embrace the pain and the disruptions that can be anticipated, to make myself feel supported and better confident. I would actually connect with like-minded people, seek their views, share across, and try to build a solution to the given problem statement. Also, I would look back and would keep reminding myself about the smaller wins that I would have achieved, which actually adds to my confidence. It makes my positive attitude and aptitude towards problem solving. And that's how would try to simplify the planning that I would do, the resilience planning that I would do. I would question myself in what I'm doing. What am I doing? Is it right for the given context? That would provide me the purpose of what I'm doing. And that is important, because being resilient has to be aligned to the purpose that we are looking at, because we need to look at the outcome that we expect. So I find this approach in line of, you know, kind of while we are working, while I'm onto a journey, I'm trying to fix some parts and getting onto it. So building resilience by definition, sometimes it happens over time. It takes time, let it take time, but then try and fine tune as you progress. This is how I would approach it.
Thank you. Great answer. Oh, by the way, we have another great question from Sudhir Patel. This is the question for all the panels, so anyone is free to answer. So how does one practice resiliency when all the odds are stacked against your project? When functional managers are not actively supporting your project, and the resources are, you know, but the resources are critical to the success or failure of the project. So how does one practice it, you know, when everything is against you?
This is Dave. I'll chime in. The first thing you do is limit your work in process, not try to tackle them all at once. It's kind of, you know, use an agile analogy. It's kind of like you got your backlog and you choose which one am I going to work on first, and focus on that and try to find out, use your support network. Share the idea. Don't try to internalize it and do it all as an individual. Ask friends and just have a chance to talk to them. try to get an idea of what exactly is my objective that I'm trying to do, and how can I approach the people that I need to have, that I think I need to get agreement with. And you may find you have agreement, but there's some other things that are driving it. But it's focusing on a particular part, not trying to, to use whatever cliche you want to say, eat the elephant in one bite, or boil the ocean, or anything like that. But that's how you start with practicing resilience, is focusing where your energy is being spent.
Ah, awesome. So don't boil the ocean. Go
Right,
ahead.
don't
Isha.
boil the energy. And you only have so much energy every day, so use it wisely.
If I can add,
Just to look at uh, the concept of what is in it for me. So when all resources, all individuals who are expected to participate and really help and work together, if they are going odd, then how do you really look at it? So perhaps I would look at what is in it for them, for the individual that the role plays for achieving that particular object, as Dave said. And then we look at the true approach for a change management as a group to achieve the objective.
Ah, awesome. And Frank, you have something to add?
yeah, I mean, Chirag just spoke my mind. I wanted to say exactly the same, which is, don't expect, as Dave said, not everyone will be in support or so. You don't want to handle everything, all of them at once. You identify your supportive network. You mean as he said, you have a lot of people against, you identify those, and you start with them one by one, and you find what can be good for what is in for the others, positive, and you talk with them, you try to, you have to be optimistic. I mean, it's really important to keep this positive mindset as the project manager. It starts with yourself. If yourself, you're already in a position, or it's too complex, I mean, there's too much adversity, I mean, the project will not be more resilient than you. You have to be resilient yourself. So the project manager needs to keep, as Dave said, keep going on it, believe in it, and keep that optimism. It might take 6 months for one to be convinced, and another one, it might take 2 years, but you still have to believe you can get it.
Ah, thank you. Great answer. Oh, by the way, there's a great comment from the audience. Anjali, uh, Anjali said that we are now more concerned about eliminating waste than many things. So what if being resilient, keep getting at it, is what causes the waste? So what should we do about it?
That's a toughie.
Well,
'Cause,
audience,
we're dealing with hypotheticals, and so but clearly, the lean perspectives eliminate waste, which is either reduce time in queue or not do something that isn't needed. Again, I think it gets back to your network. You need to have some support structures, and you need to have good, open, honest dialogue with your sponsors and your leadership. And we make sure that, first of all, we identify perhaps what this waste is, and our activities that we're doing, helping reduce, keep it status quo, or increasing, and get different perspectives, and then make a conscious decision. So you approach it and come up with a decision, which is difficult to do because it involves pretty complex analysis, critical thinking, it involves abductive reasoning, deductive reasoning, all those different things. So you're using your whole suite of skills to say what's the best way to go about it. And sometimes the answer may be the best thing is this sacrifices a little bit in order to make this other gain. It's not always a perfect balance.
Ah, thank you. And if I may add, right, because this is truly within the plan, do, check, adjust cycle, where sure, we want to keep going at it, but at the end we still do it, and then we still adjust at every iteration or every opportunity that we have. Therefore, we will still try as much as we can to avoid this keep going at it that is also contributing to a waste. So
Yes.
so thank you, Dave.
And,
Great answer, and audience, great question.
I was going to add one other little thing to that.
Yep.
We've probably all been guilty of that, and let's call it technical debt waste. So we may put in a Band-Aid turnaround at the last minute, workaround at the last minute, just in order to make it happen, and plan on come back and fix it later. And those are decisions made to meet a different objective.
Thank you. And another question. Again, this is another great question for all the panel. Anita said, I wonder if any of our panelists had recovered from difficulty, from challenges, and how. So, have you recovered from any this difficulty and challenge, and how do you manage it?
Can I start?
Go ahead.
Okay, I will take the famous example of it will not be long, but I will take the famous example of the pandemic. A big project, we all had business plans, everything's, and, COVID, February 2020, everything is down. You have targets, you have budget, you have program rulings. How do you cope with it? As I said at the time, you don't even know what resiliency is. You might not know what it is, and you have your business plan, you have your risk management plans, where you have put some nice risks, that you have identified. But usually, I'm sure 99% of project managers in the world did not have COVID in the list of the risks, right? And the impact, right? So you had to cope with how to continue deliver project with work from home, with people sick, and keep making the target, Then comes part of it, I will go quick. Part of it is the how were your processes, your structure, in terms of roles and responsibilities, how were your systems, the tools that you had in place, and how there comes agility, how you adapt or use them, go back to the drawing board, how you adapt all of that to cope with the change. Part of resiliency is a part that we call coping ability, meaning how can you accept accept the situation, the setbacks without failing, without broken. How do you accept that, and believe that it will continue? And the first thing is in the mind, to actually accept that there is a way to get out of it, is not the end of the world, and build that in the team, train the team, let them know it can continue, even if it's online, even if it's using the tools today, and then the rest can come. I will not spend, I'm sure most of my panelists can say also thousands of things around that, but just to give an idea of where it starts. First, those processes, and then the mindset, you go to the drawing board, and then you build from there. I will stop here for now, Yuda.
Thank you. And so I want to hear the perspective from Reynaldo. What do you think, Reynaldo? Because you've done everything, from engineering to project management. What do you think about this one? Can you give an example of some challenges that you have, and how do you handle it?
So I believe some have to perform some contracts in extremely conditions. I would say that I had to perform some big contracts in strike moments in Brazil, in all Brazil. And for this reason, the resilience was very important, because you need to preserve your mental health to perform this kind of adversities and disruptions. And I mean that the important thing to be resilient is to have some support factors that can help. One is the social support, and with my experience, I have a relation with one small community around a steel mill, and it was carnival parade, and we are performed a big steel mill shutdown for maintenance, and this small city, all the workers were hired for me. And then during this retrofit, most of the workers were committed with the samba school and with the carnival parade. So what I had to do to maintain my team workers working in the carnival period, I let them to use my pipe shop facilities to fabricate the floats, the carnival floats. And it was very interesting experience because I could reach the target to make this retrofit on time. And in the other side, the workers in the community could see the fabricated floats in my pep shop facilities during the parade. So everybody was happy, my clients, the community, and the workers. So this is one testimony that resilient really makes the impact. That's it.
Yeah, thank you. Being resilient makes a great impact. And so thank you very much. And there's a follow-up question from Aneta. And Aneta has been asking this great question. So let's throw this one to Chirag, because I think Chirag will find this interesting. So what might make some people more resilient than others? What do you think?
Yeah, Yoga. So we talked about the mindset and the readiness. I would say how people really look at the given situation. And from my perspective, it is the awareness as to this is something which is disturbing as a situation for my business as usual or my routine life. That needs to be acknowledged first. The second part is to accept that as it is, in terms of it's okay if you're not okay. So accept that situation. So first one is the awareness. The second one, I would say, is being okay. And the third one is coping up with that. Now, here the mindset plays a role in terms of how quickly all of these steps are being absorbed, being followed up by the individual. And depending upon the individual's reactions in terms of the foresight, the insight, and to respond about this given situation would make one person more resilient as compared to the other one.
Thank you very much. And any other thought? If not, I'm going to move on to another question, because so I prepared some question about risk management, because as project managers, we were taught about project risk management, but not resiliency management. And someone, Sanket Kelari, actually asked a really good question. So if a project goes under risk due to some circumstances, if the project is at risk due to some circumstances, how would having a resiliency help mitigate the risk and streamline the project? Anyone?
So as I was saying in the continuation of the previous response, clubbed with this particular question, where we faced a similar kind of a situation, which was more of a national calamity. Once I faced with earthquake, the second time it was the floods, and because of my role as the delivery center head for the projects that we do for global customers, we had to keep on churning out and serve the customer based on our service level agreements, commitments that we would have made. Now, how do you really look at the situation? And that's why I went to that ABC of our typical methodology in terms of making self-aware. What is happening today? What has happened? What is happening today, and what could happen? Whether it is earthquake, whether it is the kind of floods, my resources, the availability of the people, the damages that what could have happened, the connectivity with the customer, within the team, so and so. So make myself aware about where do I stand today. Then looking at first these stakeholders in terms of how is my team doing today? Are they all okay? Because then only I can get to the next step, which is getting them involved for responding to the customer requirements. So that is getting back well, or are we all okay? And the third one is more of a responding part of it or coping up with it. So this is how I looked at ABC part of it.
Thank you. Frank, you have something to say?
Yeah. I mean, if you allow me to add to that, to what Chirag said, I fully subscribe to what Chirag said. I just want to take an example. I had this big program where we had to deploy, let's say, local roaming program for between two telco operators, and regulation constraints are tough. It depends on the government. It might take 1 month, 2 months, 6 months. And just to respond to that case of a project, the risk that we had planned was a delay in getting the approval to start the project, But it was longer than what we expected. We had, in your risk management, you have a contingency plan. Okay, it was 1 month now. Okay, if it's now 3 months, this is what you do. You have your risk response plan and so on and so forth. But generally, your risk response plan doesn't indicate what Chirag was saying exactly, which is how do you manage the team within that period? People need to you need to keep the communication. They need to be aware of, no, it's just a delay, but things are under control. We are still managing the stakeholders. We were still engaging the authorities. We knew it was just an administrative delay. It was nothing like something blocking the project. We were sure it will happen, but it was just taking longer. So rather than 1 or 3 months as it was planned, it took more than 6 months to get the approval, but ultimately it come. The other thing that was not in the risk management was, at a point of time, you have to decide, do I still continue? That's the part of being flexible or being persistent in the resilience. You have to decide, do I still continue the project despite I've not met this gate because of this risk which has exceeded what was planned? How do I make that decision? And that's where resiliency comes. If you think you have enough factor to be resilient, then you take the decision, we can continue, we can invest. That's what we did. And for somebody in the team, he will not understand. He will tell you, my friend, this risk is too big. Why do you continue? But as a project manager, you have that oversight. You give the information, you clearly communicate, and you balance. And then when the time came after 6 months, we were able to launch like if there was no delay because we were working in parallel, knowing that information. I just wanted to give that addition to what Chirag said, Yuda.
Thank you very much, and awesome. Oh, by the way, there's just great call out from one of the audience that I felt like I really have to read it out for everybody. This is a comment from Emmanuel Williams. He said that the people in your network and your resources in the network are very crucial to resiliency, and I just want to call it out to everybody because I think this hit the nail on the head, that because it is all about people. Whatever we do, I know we're working on projects, we do things, but at the end of the day, this is all about the people, and the people our network is one of the key ingredient for us being able to build great resiliency. Like in my work, there's a couple people that I get very closely with, and sometimes we know how it is when we work in a project. Sometimes we feel down, sometimes we are not happy, and then we have our people to talk about, right? Your coworker that understand you, and then you consult with the coworker, you consult with your team, you consult with the people. So this just one thing I don't just want to call out. So thank you, Emmanuel, for pointing that one out. And now there's another question that is very, very timely. Amod Pusakar said that as a project manager, how can we help our team members to become more resilient, especially during the remote and hybrid work that is currently happening? This major change about how we do work. How do we help each other to become more resilient? Anyone?
Yeah, Dave will jump in here on a couple things. You mentioned before about the adaptability quotient. Another quotient we have to throw in here is emotional intelligence, and I think how you feel about that, and it's going to be your own feelings and the relationships you build and how that works together. So I think that, but being transparent and again, seeking advice, asking somebody if they may be a member of the team and they quote from an org chart structure, not the same level, but that doesn't mean you can't have a good, open and honest conversation with them. So I think not trying to carry the burden completely by yourself is critical to that. And one of the other things that I kind of want to get into that's taken more and more attention in the whole PM world has to do with some of this coaching capabilities, and that coaching is not just people now, but you're really being holistic. There's a reference, I don't know if anybody's heard of the Adkins model, but the DA coach uses it in the PMI vernacular. But you're a coach, so you're helping to coach, and by helping to coach, it's not just the people, but maybe technology, but a bonding or a link between those two, and that helps to build the resiliency. I used to talk a lot when on influence about skill, hill, and will, and I'll quick jump into that, and I'll start with first of all, the will. Do I want to succeed? So you need to make sure that people have that want, that desire, or the awareness and the desire. Hill is, hey, you know what? We've done this before. So we've done it before. We can do it again. It's a little bit different. We know that it can be a struggle. We know it's difficult to get up to the top of the hill, but we feel good when we get there. Then finally, skill. Is there a skill we need to acquire or bring in to help us get there? So taking that approach and having that discussion with people, this is what we know. This is what we want to do. We need to have the will to make it happen. We've done something like this before, so we need to climb that hill. And then what skills do we need to make that happen?
Thank you very much. And by the way, you brought up the coaching nowadays. Everybody has a coach. I call myself an agile coach, right? And everybody has a coach, but having a coach that understand not just teaching you one thing, but teaching all the overall project management life cycle and also life itself, right? And it's awesome. And I just want to share it with the audience of this great book called $1 Trillion Coach. This is a great book about a guy named Bill Campbell. He's just a regular guy. He actually coached sport. However, he became a $1 trillion coach because he was the one who coached Google, Apple, who was best friend with Steve Jobs and walking around. And even though that even at the time, Google and Apple was fighting each other, but Bill Campbell was the guy that everybody, talked to. So if any of the audience would like to read more about coaching, go read this book, because this is one of the most awesome book that I've ever read that I want to share with all of you. Okay, another question here is that during the current market scenario where prices, so we know, with the inflation and everything, with the prices of raw material are fluctuating, procurement, supply chain, everything is facing challenges. So how does resiliency support the situation where you have to maintain resiliency, but you also have to maintain costs and also profit? So this is a very tough question from Sanket. All right, how do we manage resiliency while at the same time also thinking about cost and profit? is resiliency has anything to do with cost and profit and inflation, I guess. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, let me start, and then I'm sure the other will complement. Yeah, I mean, based on my experience in a corporate world, you might have noticed, I'm not sure you have, but you might have noticed more and more international organizations are talking of ESG, environmental, social, governance objectives, trying to focus on not only doing profitability, making revenues and profits, but also doing, a purpose. What's the purpose of actually your business? One of the reasons to that is there is a link with the resiliency of organization, because in such an environment you are challenged to what is actually the purpose of what you are doing. Because if the purpose is true, a business cannot survive if there is no revenue or profit. But it is not all. If it's the only purpose, in this situation, you will see there are some countries where you have 300% inflation. You would just stop to exist. But resiliency also, part of it is, in that mindset, what is true for project managers is also true for organization. How do you drive the culture of the organization to respond to Sanket, to shift from we just want to make the targets, the revenue, the profits, to how do we strive into these challenging circumstances, delivering the value to customers, even if we don't do the same profits. And that's usually what happens is you actually do more than what you were, despite the challenges, because you find other ways, you find other source of revenues, you find others, but it has to cut across the organization, and it starts from that mindset shift from the top. I'm talking of organization, but it can be applicable at a certain extent to program or project. That's what I can say on that, Yuda.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. And Frank, it is almost like we are reading the same content here because I have this awesome question. So a few days ago, I read this latest edition of the PM Network magazine. So all the PM here, you have access to the PM Network magazine, right? And in the digital edition, there's a great article about incorporating sustainability and using PMI having a ESG focus, right? Environmental, social, and governance focus. And it talked about the need of organization and project to have this, you have focus on the environment, social, and governance. And so would it be fair to say that sustainable projects are resilient, but not all resilient projects are sustainable? And as another part of the question is, should we be striving for sustainability instead of resiliency? Go ahead, Chirag.
Yeah, in my view, the sustainability is to continue the work or the output with the quality, whereas the resilient is the ability to continue facing the challenges. So these are two different perspectives of the business operations, if you want to call it. And therefore, at times, these two things go hand in hand. Or rather, I would say most of the times nowadays, they go hand in hand as the planning for sustainability alongside the planning for the resilience. Eventually, the outcome would be a combination of both.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to have comment about this one?
Yuda, I'd like to add my comments.
Yes.
And would it be fair to say that sustainable projects are resilient, but not all resilient projects are sustainable? Should we be striving for sustainable instead of resilience? So first of all, my opinion is, what is a sustainable design of a sustainable project? When thinking about sustainability, The goal is to meet the human needs of the present without sustainability or future. Hence, the need for the organization to focus on ESG. And what is a resilient project? A resilient project is one in which the management team is able to deal with problems with maximum flexibility, adapting to unfavorable conditions, that is, time to recover and easily adjust to change. Professional transform stress into positive energy for the sake of focusing on ESG, including sustainability. Since the beginning of 2022, several discussions on ESG, in fact, in companies listed in São Paulo Stock Exchange, differentiating vulture funds which come hunting for company in crisis, dying, but which still present themselves as viable to able to recover. That is, but low, adjust, buy low, adjust, and sell high of those funds that are really committed to ESG. In fact, this means that the practice of greenwashing, companies say it has it, but does not practice it, misleading advertising, is a point of evaluation of investment values in SEC-listed companies, because it takes away the right of the intellectual agents to correctly evaluate the business, generating investment that should not exist, generating unnecessary losses. For this, there is the ISO 37301, which suggests how to manage the risk of misconduct. Therefore, in my opinion, it's not fair to say that non-resilient projects are sustainable.
Thank you very much, Ronaldo. Awesome feedback here. We have about maybe 3 minutes. So we talk about resiliency, we talk about sustainability. I want to bring up another term that I heard not too recently, the term anti-fragile. So Nicholas Nassim Taleb, he wrote a really great book called The Black Swan, and he made millions of dollars about for it, or maybe more than millions. And then he wrote another book. He introduced another term called anti-fragile. He said that anti-fragile is something that gain from disorder, something that get better from problem. And so I'm paraphrasing what he was saying, is that being resilient is probably not enough, that he proposed that can we build a system that is roughly meant that if we build them, and the more pressure, the more challenges it has that is being subject to, the better it become, like sort of like a hydra. The story of hydra is that you cut off one head, two heads will grow from its place. So is there a project? Is it possible to build a project that is anti-fragile instead of just resilient or sustainable?
I will start.
Yep, go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, but I will give my humble opinion. The specificity of projects are the constraints related to resources. So I mean, like in Hydra, you might under stress, under pressure, a project might, survive, reinvent, continue. I don't know, after a given, from my view, is after a given number of stress or events or risks, it cannot be unlimited. So my thinking is it could be possible, but it will be limited related to the resource. I can take the example, imagine a project where the stress are various impact on the financial resources of the project. Maybe 30% of the funding are cut, again 10%, and then 20% at different period of the project. The project might survive for some time, But my opinion, my humble experience, it's not forever for the project. At the point of time, there will be probably a break point for a project. I'm talking of a project. Now, if you go at an organizational level, at a more global level, it could be at a certain extent possible. That's my humble opinion, really, and I'm happy to hear from my other expert colleague.
Sure. Let me kind of share my point of view. The understanding that I carry with the anti-fragile approach for any project management or any problem solving, so to say, that always comes with a cost. If I compare the two in terms of resiliency, resiliency is actually bouncing back to the normal with it experienced some performance degradation, and the resiliencies bring it back to the normal. Whereas with the anti-fragile, we are looking at not only the coming back, but coming back with some benefits out there, some advantages, some positives out there. Yeah? And therefore, nothing comes free, and therefore, it is always a cost. When we're planning for the anti-fragile, it is a no single failure planning that we are talking about. And therefore, it is an added cost. It is designed to take care of the performance gain at the end of the cycle. That's my point.
Thank you very much. So we will have to have a talk with Nicholas Nassim Taleb and see how he thinks. Oh, but this is very great discussion, and we have a lot of great questions also from the audience. The last one from Ivan Sobgo is, as project manager, how to build the climate of resilience into project management. And this is taking into account of skepticism of companies in the subject. So how do you build resilience into the project management? Anyone?
Yeah, I can start. The question of Ivan is actually, he clearly put it saying, how do you build the climate resilience? Meaning he assumed already, you have to build the climate for the reason in the project management. And it's your responsibility as a project manager, to start with yourself by building that capabilities I'm not talking of the planning of the normal, your normal project management process that you follow for sure. We talk here about the mindset, the approach that you do. And to be practical, start with yourself. Positive mindset, accept that changes will happen, and it's okay, and you will continue to deliver. Accept that you have adversity, like the one mentioned by Ivan, skepticism of the companies in this subject. Yes, accept there is skepticism, but it doesn't mean you are wrong. It doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do. So it's your role as a leader to do it. And then the next step is build that capability across your project organization, meaning the team. I think Chirag mentioned something important earlier. Talk to the team. You have to, we think it's obvious or it's a given, but you have to build that, to share that with the team, to explain to them, things can happen, change can happen. Even the basic leadership, talked about the agility, how they need to adapt, is very important for the team to be with you. And that's so that, because that people aspect is very important. And then you go to the stakeholders to build also, it's a change mindset. You are the owner of the project. You have to bring your stakeholders to adhere to the benefit of the success of the project. So that's key component of the project. There are other aspects that you can build in your project management meeting, the processes or putting contract stuff and so on. But I will not go into all the detail. That's what I can say. Thanks.
Oh, thank you very much. And again, another great answer. Any other comment from the rest of the panelists? Chirag?
So if I, while Frank was explaining, I thought, let me just put it as a very simple, some 3 or 4 C's, if I wanted to call it. The first one is the connection with the team, all the stakeholders, the communication with all the stakeholders, with the confidence. And therefore, we are talking about the 3 or 4 C's, which can make the planning for resiliency much comprehensive. So you may look at connection, you may look at the communication part of it with the confidence. And of course, you do have the competency. As the project manager, you have learned from your failures, and therefore you are bringing the risk assessment abilities while you are actually planning for the resiliency part. And here, therefore, once you put the plan in place, you are in a better control to achieve the objective, the purpose that you are planning for. You would be able to cope up very well.
Thank you. So this is almost an answer to the last question that I have. So we've been spending what an hour and a half, and we talk about a lot of great theories and stuff like that. So the last question, of course, having theory is one thing, right? But how do we, as project managers, the one who may have to handle this all on our own, how do we prepare ourselves? How against all this uncertainty, all this problem? How do we prepare ourselves to become more resilient? Is there any other step-by-step feedback or steps that we could do to become more resilient? This is a very tough question, by the way.
Well, I would say I would look at it from 3 or 4 perspectives. One, of course, is the physical aspect for myself. Unless I'm physically fit, I won't be able to really get to controlling the situation. The physical and mental plays a good combination for the team. As project manager myself and a team who have to be very much fit from the physical perspective, mental perspective. And then the rest of the aspect is more towards the emotional part, the social part, as to how we carry ourselves as part of the overall execution of that project. Now, looking at a little more detail out there, we may have planned for the risk, we may have planned for failures and therefore coming back. But then, until we really get to the actual steps to execute with stable mind and with a team is never going to happen. As they also talked about it at the initial part in one of the responses, right? So therefore, the physical, mental, emotional, and the social stability for the project manager as well as the team is very crucial for any such planning. When I look at, and with that, I go back to one of my responses in terms of the foresight, insight, and response. So my stable condition in a given situation when I'm fit from all 4 angles, then I'm able to foresee what is coming up. I'm able to analyze it in terms of the getting insight to the given situation. And therefore, I will be better placed to respond.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to have some final words?
Yeah, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, just to one of the point, I think the first point that Chirag mentioned, which really resonated, and I think we didn't mention it enough, when we said it starts with you, the project manager. There is no resiliency without the people, and there is no the resiliency and the people. It will not work if you are not fit to do it, fit to work, emotionally, psychologically, but also physically. We said it, but it's true for you and it's true for the team. It's an important part. Otherwise, nothing will work. You know, you talk about, I think I saw a comment, you know, you might have, if people are sick or if you have challenges around that, I mean, it will be a big part, it will be a big part of the failure of the resiliency. So it's really important for project manager to have that in mind. It starts with you. Otherwise, you cannot, I think there are some projects over the time or some activities or programs that you cannot manage or run over all these challenges if yourself you are not resilient, meaning physically but also emotionally. If you don't, it will not happen. All of that will be on paper, but it will not happen. So I want really, that will be my final comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm tempted to make a T-shirt that said that resiliency, it starts with you, right? We could probably sell some T-shirt for it. You know, this has been really, really great discussion. I wish we could go all day about this. I imagine that some of our audience will be super late. Like for me, you know, it's about time for me to start my day job. So I just want to thank our audience. You have been asking a lot of great questions. So thank you very much. Some of you, I did not get a chance to get to your question. It was, you know, so many great questions, and I want to maintain the flow of the topic. And panelists, again, great answers. Thank you, everybody. This has been awesome. So let me bring this back to Priya.
Yeah, that was wonderful. And the chat was on fire. Great discussion, lots of questions, and and you tied it all so well together, Yuda. Thank you very much, and thank you, panelists, for those wonderful insights. With this, I hand over the stage to Robert to kind of wrap up the entire event.
Thank you, Priya. If I may say, it was very a good session, lots of discussions and lots of questions. And thank you, Yuda and the panelists. I must have counted up to about 11 C's of being resilient as a project manager. The first C is starts with the project manager, your competence as a project manager, which includes your skill set, your knowledge, and your attitude. Followed by that will bring in the confidence in terms of how you are going to attack the project going forward, and also how you connect. And I'm sure it was Ronaldo who spoke about connecting to communities for support systems. So that's the third C there, connection. And also the fourth one is your character in terms of how you your willpower. And I'm sure it was Dev who talked about the willpower, not to see a wall or a hill, but it is your willpower. So that is character. And then also your contribution that you can only seek from your team members. You cannot do it as a solo act or in a silo. You need that contribution. And I think the sixth C is coping. You need to have coping mechanisms in order for you to be resilient when undertaking challenging projects. The seventh one, everything has to be under control, and this is based on your planning prior to executing your project. So this will make you control. And then the eighth one, I'm about to finish, is the collaboration that you get from all the stakeholders, be it from the politics, the economists, etc., and also from the social aspects. And the ninth one is about the communication. You need to communicate the intentions so that you can bounce back, managing all the setbacks. And then the 10th one is that you need to consult. And then finally, there has to be cooperation from a global perspective in order for you to execute your challenging projects. I think with that, thanks, Priya, for the chance.
Oh, this is awesome. 11 C's to improve your resiliency. And now it is ingrained in my mind, and we could put that as part of a nugget as well, right, Yuda? And it will be published, a couple of days from now. And there is a question from Sudhir Patel. Where can we find the 11 C's to read about?
Hey, there you go. We'll put it in the Exchange nugget, which we're going to send out within a week or so. And so, Robert, you need to send the 11C to us so we can publish it. And by the way, for those of you who didn't know, Exchange nugget is basically a summary of feedback, written comment from all our panelists, and it's almost like a magazine type that we publish at the end of every event. So look for it.
Yes.
Yep, will do.
Yeah, and it is published after every event, so you could look it up in our PMI Mumbai chapter website as well. Yes, thank you very much, and I've already put in the feedback link in the chat window. Please do take the feedback and let us know what do you think. This will really help us to improve our events and event after event. Okay, and thank you, Sunil, for being such a wonderful WebEx admin and making this event smooth as ever. Thomas, our chapter leader from Southern Alberta chapter for the Flyers, Damike for constantly making those social media posts, and Pedro for event analysis and helping us to put this awesome event together in terms of registrations and experience. And the PDO code is already there on the chat, and you will get a PDO mailer by Monday so that you can claim your 1.5 PDOs. So with this, a heartfelt thanks to all the attendees who have attended this session. We want to thank you for giving your time. Yeah, for some of them it's too early in the morning. For some of them it is, Friday afternoon, evening, and you have spent your time with us. So thank you for that. And with this, we wrap up our season 3, event 7 of PMI Chapter Exchange. We will be back again next month. And there'll be an exciting topic again. How do you manage projects in a fuzzy environment? Or how do you manage R&D as well as fuzzy projects? So keep a watch on our social media handles for the announcement of the event, and don't forget to register. All right, with this, we say sayonara or goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right, cheers.
Nice weekend to
All
everybody.
right. Bye.